Laura, I like what you said about like just kind of figure out what's like important to you. I also do the same thing. Tell my clients like I kind of frame it as like what's a hell yes and like what's like a meh, you know? Like what are we most excited about? And if you want to, you know, get some ribs and that's the most thing that you're excited about, like go do that, right? But, you know, again, it's like practicing some restraint rather than like total restriction on stuff. Like you can still partake, but you know, some things you might have to just cut back on just because you know that it's gonna put you in a place or a direction that's just not somewhere you want to go long term. So I always kind of encourage also too, like, you know, think about like how do you want to feel long term? Like how do you want to feel past this point, right? Like past this event, like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, whatever. So sometimes a little bit being more intentional about like the long-term goals.
I think too, especially with the alcohol stuff, I think it's more helpful to set a specific goal for the night, kind of like Laura mentioned, versus if you're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to like, I know I'm going to drink tonight, but I'm going to just drink less. It's like, yo, like put an actual number on it, because even if you still overshoot it, right? Like somebody buys you a drink, somebody, you know, you bump into a friend you haven't seen forever. Like, even if you end up having 3 drinks when you said, hey, I really, you know, my goal tonight is to have 2, it's still, again, you're kind of setting yourself up for success to not like end up at like 5, 6, 7 drinks. So I think like that's huge. The other thing I was just going to mention is, especially with summer, if you're somebody that you tend to work out in the morning, just be really cognizant. And I think kind of know, like, I feel like most people, you have probably tried this approach of like, hey, I know I'm going out tonight, or hey, I know I'm going to this wedding later today, whatever it is. Because I find personally, if I like try to like save up calories for later, that ain't the way. And it's like, you know, by the time I get to dinner, I'm like, cool. Well, then I like inhale double the food that I intended to because I get there, I'm hungry. So I think just be careful about like, especially if you are working out or if you're doing something where you're sweating a lot and you're just outside earlier in the day, be cognizant of that so that, you know, again, it's like, I think with that, you just got to figure out, like, does that strategy work for you? Or would you be better to just kind of like have your normal breakfast, have your normal lunch, and then be able to go in there again, kind of fed? Because that's especially, I'm thinking like weddings specifically, because you never know how long the wedding and, you know, the reception, everything's going to be. So it's like, I feel like that's the one time that especially I'm like, yo, I'm packing with snacks. I'm bringing food with me. Like, we ain't messing around, because again, it's like, especially when you're talking about places that's like, okay, it's time to eat. And then you realize you're like table 10 and everybody else is going before you. It's going to be a minute. I'm definitely a team like snacks in the purse, snacks in my car, snacks in my bag, 100.
I don't go anywhere without food, man. I'll keep that shit on me for sure. Like, and I definitely am with you, Lori. I don't do well with like banking up or saving. Like I'm gonna eat normally throughout the day. And, you know, when I get to the event, like I'm still gonna be mindful. I may still go over. Actually, something I like to do with my clients is I like to give them like a flexible day, right? So if they have, you know, an event, and I say, okay, if our average calorie intake is this, right, we can go over by, you know, 15, 20% on a single day. And we're not going to affect mathematically the average calorie intake over the week because it will average out. So we can actually have a day where we can go a little bit over. And I tell people, it's like, don't look at it as like a cheat day or something like that, where you can just go do whatever. You're still being mindful and intentional. You're just giving yourself a little bit more room so that you can enjoy whatever you want to enjoy and not feel like, oh, like I'm restrained or I'm like restricted on here. And of course, like once people start to see that, hey, like I can go over a little bit and it's not going to make a big deal. That's like a huge like light switch. Like people realize that like we don't have to be perfect every single day. And that opens up a whole nother world of like being able to, you know, go and have these events and just not feel like it's a stressful thing.
There's such power in kind of like you were talking about earlier. It's like, if you're going to these events and you're only loading up your plate with like salad and fruit, it's like, yo, just like, it's like that weird balance of like exposure to foods that we really, really want, to kind of take away that power, from that food, it's like, you gotta spend time at some point. Like the only way to it is through it. And so it's like, it's like the more you restrict something, also the more you want it. And so it really is, I think most importantly, just understand too, it is like a skill, just like anything else we do in nutrition fitness. It's like, it takes time to get really good at navigating these events and feeling comfortable, with the outcomes of all of that too. So I think that just setting very low expectations that then you can kind of build on, where it's like, hey, I'm somebody that I normally have 5 or 6 drinks. Tonight I'm going to have 2. Shit, well, I ended up having 3. But then, it's like, I think that people might feel a little overwhelmed if it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this with my nutrition. I'm going to do this with my drinks. And it's like, dude, like pick one, like literally just set a minimum and then be done with it. And exactly like, kind of building on what Laura said earlier, it's like, have some minimums related to your activity earlier in the day too, of like, yo, can you be drinking lots of water? Can you be getting lots of steps and activity? Because again, it's like, well, if you're just going to this event, you're drinking, you're eating food, you're sitting around, it's like, you're probably not going to feel super great. But if you've had a productive day where, again, you went to the gym or you got some steps, you got activity, and, you're kind of following these great routines, I think it's just, such a better outcome because you already set yourself up for it.
Yeah. Laura, does your husband, Matt, does he bring, if y'all go somewhere, does he bring like fire ass barbecue wherever he goes?
Yes, that's why we have I don't know, call it party house, but like if anybody's birthday, like our friends like, yeah, I know we could go out to dinner, but like, can I just come to your house and have Matt's tacos? So like, nobody wants to go out to dinner because they're like, well, Matt's tacos are better than what we could get out. And even if exactly, you go to somebody else's house, they're like, can you like bring your barbecue with you? If it's at somebody else's. So yes, his love language is like learning how to cook and
That's
to
so
like be a
awesome.
grill master. And yes, so we cook a lot. Kelly was here. We cooked 36 pounds of meat this weekend. So
oh my God. Because I was asking, because like I'm definitely that dude who will bring like a fruit and veggie tray to parties, man. Yeah, you know what? Like people give me shit, but they all eat it though. Every time I bring a fruit and veggie tray, that shit's gone because, so I don't know. I think that that's also too something people don't think about is like, if you want to go to a barbecue or a cookout or whatever, and you're like concerned about like what kind of food is going to be there, like bring your own food. Like, and you can share it, right? You don't have to just eat the food that you eat. It's going to be part of, the smorgasbord. Go to Costco, hit them up, man. They always have great stuff like you can just bring and for whole parties.
No, I think you're spot on. I mean, that's what I do. Like if I was going to go to a party tonight last minute, I'd be like, cool. Like what can I bring that's high protein? And then I would actually be the same. I'd be hitting up like overpriced triangles. I'd be watermelon dealing or, bringing some of that. So it's like, that even with family events though, right? It's like, you don't know what you're going to get. So it's like, don't leave that up to other people. Again, like what is the stuff you can control your destiny at this party and, bring, then there's at least like 1 or 2 things you can eat, wherever it is you're going.